In Part 1, we were introduced to the L19 and learned about the primary control surfaces which enable you to control its flight. In this film, we will learn how these control surfaces are used in straight and level flight. Climbs, glides, and turns.
Hey, narrator!
Hello, Bird Dog.
I want to tell you before you get all wound up. These guys been studying and flying since they saw the first movie. They're talking real big around the BOQ about how sharp they are. But let me give you a tip. They're having trouble putting together what the book says with what it feels like in a plane. If you can show them the 4 basic maneuvers in some simple way, boy, they'll eat it up.
Okay, Bird Dog, let's give it a try. We'll see the 4 maneuvers from a point of view that you cannot get from the front seat of an airplane. They are important because all of the maneuvers which you will ever perform are simply expertly timed and coordinated combinations of straight and level flight, climbs, glides, and turns. First, we will define a word that is frequently used in flight training. The word is attitude. The attitude of an aircraft is its position with relation to the horizontal. From an aircraft, the horizon looks like this. We might say that a plane's attitude is its position with relation to the horizon. When you are parallel to the horizon, you are in a level attitude. If your nose is below the horizon, you are in a nose-low or gliding attitude. If your nose is above the horizon, you are in a nose-high or climbing attitude. If you lower a wing, you are in a banked attitude. To accomplish level flight, you must keep both your wings and your fuselage parallel with the horizon. Let's talk first about straight and level flight. The best way for a beginner to maintain level flight is to use the horizon itself as a guide. When your pitch attitude is exactly level, select a point on the horizon directly in front of you. Then select a reference point on the windshield that is in your line of sight. Now keep this reference point in line between you and the horizon. While you maintain this sight picture, you will remain in level flight. If you pitch up even slightly to a nose-high attitude, the reference point will rise above the horizon. If you go nose-low, the reference point will drop below the horizon. Keep the horizon exactly in line with your reference point on the windshield, and your pitch attitude will be level. You can use this method to check your pitch attitude until your skill develops further. The levelness of your wings can be checked in an even more simple way. By turning your head, look to the horizon and check the distance of your left wingtip from the horizon. Now turning your head, look to the right and check the distance of your right wingtip from the horizon. If these distances are equal as shown here, your wings are level. If one wingtip is much closer to the horizon than the other, you have lost your wings level attitude. Remember to use this method in checking to see that your wings are level. Another method to accomplish straight flight is by reference to the area over which you are flying. With both your pitch and wingtips level, select a point on the horizon toward which you are moving, like this mountain peak. Then closer in, find another landmark that's on the imaginary line between you and the mountain peak, like this radio tower. By keeping the radio tower in line between you and the mountain peak, you'll fly a straight course. The straight and level attitude, as we've seen it so far, has not shown one ever-present factor. Your plane will always have a tendency to pitch and roll as it flies. These natural movements are caused by air turbulence.
Hey, can I put my 2 cents in here?
Sure, Bird Dog.
I notice one thing when some guys are flying. They fly real relaxed. So darn relaxed that their hand on the stick practically goes to sleep. It gets like a dead weight that pulls the stick over to the right. You can't stay straight and level that way. Fly relaxed, man, but don't let rigor mortis set in.
Thanks for the tip, Bird Dog. Now we're going to the next basic maneuver, climbs. Climbs are entered from straight and level flight by moving the stick rearward with firm pressure. As your nose begins to rise, your airspeed will diminish. You'll know you're decelerating without checking the instrument panel by the decrease in sound of airflow around the cabin. This indicates that you're slowing down. As you reach approximately 85 miles an hour, add throttle smoothly to the climbing power setting to hold a speed of 80 miles an hour. As you add throttle, you will feel the plane tend to turn left. When there is an increase in engine RPM, the aircraft will pull to the left. This is torque. To keep your aircraft flying a straight path, it is necessary to compensate for this torque. We do this by applying a little right rudder in a climb. Now, how can you maintain this proper angle of climb? Select a point on the cowling that is in line with the horizon. As long as you keep this reference point in line between you and the horizon and do not change your power setting, the plane will remain in the proper pitch attitude. You now have a reference point that you can use to establish climbs in the future. When your angle and rate of climb are established, adjust your elevator trim tab. This trim tab is located on the trailing edge of the right elevator. When this small movable section is lowered into the airflow, it reduces pressure on the stick. Now let's look at the relative positions of our empennage control surfaces as we enter a normal climb. The elevators are up for climb. The rudder is right to compensate for torque. The elevator trim tab is down to reduce the back pressure you must hold on the stick. Prolonged straight climbs should be avoided. The pitch of your plane in a climb decreases visibility and increases the possibility of mid-air collisions. Except for climbing after takeoff, always use a climbing turn if you must gain any considerable amount of altitude. Start your level off about 50 feet before you reach the desired altitude. For instance, if the altitude at which you desire to level off is 3,000 feet, you would initiate your level off when the altimeter reads 2,950 feet. Level off by moving your stick forward. As you do so, you will start to gain airspeed. As you change your pitch, you will have to reduce your throttle slightly to prevent an increase in RPM. But remember, reduce your throttle to cruising power only when you have gained both level flight attitude and cruising airspeed. Your final adjustment after regaining straight and level flight and cruising airspeed is to retrim your elevator tab so that your stick pressure is neutral. Just the opposite of climbs are glides. Glides are used to lose altitude. A glide is entered from level flight by first closing throttle slowly and smoothly. The feel of your aircraft will change. You will have to make adjustments to maintain your straight and level attitude. The most noticeable change is the absence of torque. The plane will tend to turn to the right, and you will have to apply left rudder to compensate. Hold your straight and level attitude. Do not lower your nose until airspeed dissipates. If you enter a glide too soon, you will have to make one or more additional adjustments of pitch attitude to attain proper glide speed. When airspeed dissipates to slightly above 80 miles an hour, lower the nose of the aircraft and establish a normal glide attitude. To maintain this attitude, use a reference point on the plane and align it with the horizon. As long as you keep this reference point in line between you and the horizon, you will maintain a normal glide attitude. The elevator trim tab is used to take the pressure off your stick in a glide, just as in climbs, and straight and level flight.
Wait a minute, buddy.
I forget something?
Yeah, man. These guys better use gliding turns when they want to let down, 'cause you got lousy visibility in a straight glide. Man, it hurts just looking at it.
The level off from a glide should begin about 50 feet from the desired altitude. For instance, if the altitude at which you desire to level off is 2,000 feet, you would initiate your recovery when the altimeter reads 2,050 feet. As you move the stick backward, add power slowly. Remember, as the engine torque increases, smoothly relax your pressure on the left rudder pedal. As airspeed increases, time the movement of your stick so that you reach level flight and cruising airspeed at the same time. When you have attained straight and level flight, retrim your elevator tab to relieve stick pressure. The fourth fundamental of flight is turns. Coordination, or the simultaneous use of two or more controls, is important in all four of the basic maneuvers. In a turn, you must have coordination of all primary control surfaces. Coordination is a proportional relationship of these control surfaces. The ailerons, rudder, and elevators. A turn is entered by simultaneous application of stick and rudder pedal in the direction of the turn. In a well-executed turn, the rudder should be streamlined with the flight path. When the proper amount of rudder and ailerons are applied, the result is a well-coordinated turn. If you use too much bottom rudder in relation to the amount of aileron used, although you will feel as though your body is being pulled towards the outside of the turn, the aircraft will actually skid to the inside of the turn. On the other hand, if you do not apply sufficient rudder pressure in relation to the amount of aileron applied, although you will feel as though your body is being pulled towards the inside of the turn, the aircraft will actually slip towards the outside of the turn. In level flight, a rear view of the L19 looks like this. In order to enter a coordinated turn, increase pressure on the stick and rudder pedal in the direction you wish to turn. When you reach the desired angle of bank, neutralize the ailerons by centering the stick and at the same time release enough pressure on the bottom rudder to remain coordinated. Your aircraft will continue to turn as long as you maintain your banked attitude. As the turn is established, you must also apply a little back pressure to the stick to raise the elevator and prevent any loss of altitude, since a turning aircraft tends to lose altitude. The point at which you must start your rollout from a turn depends on your angle of bank and airspeed. As you approach your desired rollout point, smoothly apply stick and rudder pedal in the direction opposite to your turn. While your plane is returning to level flight, gradually release the back pressure on your stick. Just as you gain a level attitude, return stick to neutral and simultaneously release rudder pressure.
And there you are, right back where you started from. Straight and level. Man, you make it sound easy.
It is easy, Bird Dog. The only thing that's hard about it is learning to do the right thing at the right time while you're up in the air, after spending your first 20 or 30 years on the ground.
Guess you're right. If you could learn to fly a plane sitting in a classroom, primary fixed wing would be a 2-day course.
How about a review, Bird Dog?
Okay, let's go. In this film, we learned about straight and level, climbs, glides, and turns. When you know how to do these, you can put them together and come up with some real fancy flying. Till you get yourself to feeling at home in a plane, you can use checkpoints to tell when you got the right pitch attitude. By checking your wingtips, you will maintain a straight course. It's a good idea to look outside quite a bit anyhow. You can see all kinds of interesting things, like other airplanes. Instead of repeating all the details of how to do it, I want to tell you this. Practice these 4 fundamentals. When you're not flying, think about how you did it last time and how to do it better next time. Work with all your controls till you can handle all of them at the same time. The same way you can walk upstairs while you scratch your nose without dropping your briefcase and a handful of papers.
That's coordination, Bird Dog. Doing 2 or 3 things at the same time and in just the right way. In the next film, we're going to move on from the 4 basic fundamentals of flight to more advanced maneuvers. Crosswind flight, S-turns, elementary 8s, and the rectangular course.
Coordination, huh? I'll have to remember that word.